Hello, welcome everyone, and to our episode 5. And today I'm going to talk with my partner Phil Nguyen about what should you invest in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Now, a lot of clients have asked me, this question exactly, and I'm very excited that we have a special guest from the US who is a serial entrepreneur, which Phil you will later reveal and introduce properly. In a minute, but also I will also cover the Cryptotax, the 6 tax strategies or tax coins that you actually need to do to make sure that you're not paying so much tax when you actually make the revenue and capital gains. So I'm really looking forward to this show because at this time, everyone's looking for ways to make money and to make their money work for them. And we have a very prominent figure in the Bitcoin space, the cryptocurrency space. And I can't wait to share this with our community. But first off, we're going to go through the history of money, where and how it's led to cryptocurrency, why cryptocurrency is a significant alternative investment that you could consider compared to other investments. So, Phil, welcome.
Thank you so much, Lan. It's so exciting to be back, and so much is happening out there. And yeah, a hot topic for the last few years has been cryptocurrency. And there is so much to explore, not just Bitcoin. There's literally thousands of cryptocurrencies out there, but we're going to explore on what makes it different. We've got digital payment systems now. So what is Bitcoin and why crypto? We're going to look at all that, and I think it's going to be a really, really good show, and I'm excited to share with people.
Okay, so let's have a look at now. A lot of people need to understand first, where we were, like what is currency, and how do we start. So we're going to take you through the history of money going back 100 years ago, and why there is a possibility that the current fiat currency, the paper money that we have, may not stay like that. But we're going to start off with a disclaimer. So, of course, cryptocurrency is a volatile and high-risk asset investment. So, therefore, a disclaimer is required because the information we provide from our guest speakers, including all our posts and videos, live webinars, are intended for educational purposes, for you to make our community aware that there are alternative investments. If you are interested after our show to then invest in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency or any other coins, then please make a time to sit with one of our team to make a tailored financial plan, or even the strategies around tax minimization of that investment portfolio.
So this is just a summary of what we're doing today. So like Lan said before, we're going to go through a brief history. We're going to have our special guest on. Then Lan's going to talk about Cryptotax. So let's get into it.
Now, before we start, also let us know that you can hear us and see us clearly. Please let us know that you're in live with us, and so that we will. So if you're here, just let us know. I think there's about 14-15 people joining us live now, and that's great. So and more people are coming in. So Phil, I know that you're a bit of a. How did you get started in Bitcoin? I know you also in Bitcoin already a few years ago. How did you get started in Bitcoin?
So for myself, I started from a technical point of view. So I got interested. My background's actually in IT. I studied IT in uni. So when I came across Bitcoin, I wanted to know how it worked and what made it so different. So I actually did a course on I can't remember what university it was for. They had an online course available for Bitcoin. So I went through the course. And when I studied it and understood the way it works, why it works, and what made it, there was quite a few technical difficulties that Bitcoin overcame that had never been done before. And even to today, Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network itself has been proven to pretty much be unhackable, and there's reasons behind it, and it was inherent in its designs. There were components that existed out there, but no one actually brought it together. And the story goes, Satoshi Nakamoto is the person who did the white paper, created it, and the way that he explained everything, I read the white paper, that was incredible. And that's when I started appreciating it. And that's when I actually was comfortable in going and looking at it as a financial asset. So,
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's my journey.
And you know what, as a financial planner and an accountant, I get asked all the time, is this a good investment, and everything. Now, this, in our show, we want to give this education so that you can make that decision yourself. And now, today's show, I'm actually going to we're going to tailor a bit about for the history of money first, particularly in Australian set, so that, because we have a lot of we are in Australia, but our guest speaker is, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is global investment. So our guest is actually in the US. So let's start with the history of money then, because we have some a timeline timeline of this. So
this is okay, just for our audience out there. This is an Australian history of money. So we're going to go through that, because often there's a lot of information out there about the American history and the Federal Reserve and things like that. But I wanted to really paint an Australian picture. Okay. So as we all know, Australia was founded in 1788 by Captain Cook. So I think we all went to primary school and we all did our history lessons around that. But in 1788, what the British didn't do well was they didn't provide enough coinage. So it was a real struggle back in those days to actually get any coins. There was a shortage. So the settlers in Australia would use virtually anything. They even used Spanish coins because they were trading with the Spanish. They were using anything they could find. There was one point where they were using rum. The government actually paid for some buildings to get built in rum. So that was that was really interesting. So it wasn't until 1817 when Australia actually opened our first bank, which is the New South Wales Bank of New South Wales. And that was when the first time that a certificate was actually issued by the bank. Now, the Bank of New South Wales, through mergers and other things, evolved over time and became the Westpac Bank of Australia. So the Westpac Bank was the first Australian bank. So 1925. So there was an imperial order that all British colonies had to use the imperial coinage, the sterling coinage. So they had to ship all the coinage out to Australia. And so it was still very difficult because it's not a flight like it is today, is it, Lan? Like, you can't really hop on a flight in the 1800s to get to Great Britain to Australia. It was months and months by sea. So there was always a supply issue, and it's nothing that the locals could actually control. So, and it wasn't until 1852 where the Adelaide Assay Office, assay is the process where you extract the gold, issued our first coin, the first gold coin anyway. So that's, you see that picture there. It's not much to look at, but it's got the hallmark, and it's got some information about the coin itself, and it's got some dates and serial numbers and things like that. So that coin, guess how much that coin is now worth, Lan?
the gold coin?
Yeah, that gold coin.
$2,000? 2,900?
A little bit more.
Okay. I'm just going
Put
gold.
Okay, so worth as in gold, but worth in its value as being one of Australia's first coins. So it was the first Australia.
Much more because of the, like, I guess its rarity, yeah?
Yes, yeah. So this coin is worth, okay, sorry, you were saying?
No, maybe ask the community because
Oh,
anyone.
yeah. Guys, how much do you think this coin is worth?
Actually, what was it worth back then? What was it worth back then, Phil?
Sorry, I didn't actually write it down.
Research.
But back in those days, the gold price was actually fixed. It's not on a floating market like it was today. Like today, it's whatever the market's willing to pay. But back in the old days, it was the King of England that, or the Crown that dictated the coin price, the gold price, and it was stuck like that for like 300 years.
How many ounces is this gold coin?
I'm not too sure. It looks pretty small and thin. Maybe 1 ounce or half an ounce or something like that.
1 ounce
So
back then was very cheap, like 35, like very, very cheap then. So,
so Koi says maybe 50,000 today. So if it's an ounce today is about $2,650 Australian. So 50,000, you would have made good money.
Exactly.
But in fact, this coin is worth $1.3 million.
Right.
So how's that for a good investment?
And it's quite common back then, wasn't it? Back in those days, or just?
Yes, that was the start of our coinage. Okay. And then we moved on. Australia moved on, and in 1901, it was when Federation was formed, and we as a nation, and all the states joined and became Australia as we know it.
Okay.
But at that point, we were still using the British coinage. Okay. It wasn't until 1910 the Australian Note Act brought about the first Australian pound. Okay. Yeah, these things are definitely collectibles. So this moves us over to 1944. And 1944 was a significant time in the world. It was at the end of World War II. So what happened in World War II was, especially in Europe, where Nazi Germany was taking over much of Europe, a lot of the governments wanted to protect their wealth. So they held their wealth in gold. So they were actually shipping their gold out to safe havens and to countries like Canada and America and things like that, where they weren't directly involved in the war to protect their country's wealth. So after the war, the world was in dismay, as we all know. And the Bretton Woods system pretty much said, okay, America, you're actually the world's biggest holder of gold. So you got the biggest reserves, and we've actually sent some of our gold there. We'll just use the American dollar instead of gold, because it's actually, gold is great, but to to trade with gold could be difficult, and to do commerce with trade was difficult because it's heavy, so the American dollar was chosen to be the global reserve currency, and it was backed by gold. So indirectly, you were still backed by, your currency was backed by gold when you were trading in the US dollars. So it wasn't until 1966 that the Australian dollar was introduced. Do you remember this dollar, Lan?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're old enough out there. Some of you might not be, especially the Gen Ys and things like that. You've never seen this before. You've only seen the gold coin. But yes, we used to have a paper dollar. And in 1966, yes? Yeah,
I actually saw that, but I don't think it's obviously 1960. It's not in use, but I saw that as a collectible.
Yeah, it definitely is a collectible now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we took ourselves off the imperial system and we went onto the decimal system. So no more pounds and shillings and things like that. We went into what we know today as dollars and cents. But even though we had the dollar, our dollar was still pegged to the British pound, which was then pegged to the US dollars, which was then pegged to the gold. So it was a whole system of pegging of different currencies. It was a really interesting time in history. So as we know, in 1971, the President of the United States, President Nixon, took the US dollar off the gold standard. So from that point on, the US dollar was no longer backed by gold, and it became fiat, or a debt-based system. However, the world was still using the US dollars as the reserve currency, and we still do up to today.
What happened to the price of gold afterwards? I remember reading that he set the gold price at $35, and then fixed to buy for the people to sell back. And then after that, after they confiscated all the gold in US, then they raised the price of gold to the level that it should be, the value it should be.
But yeah, a lot of things actually happened leading up to it. For example, like you said, there was the confiscation of gold, but what was happening around the world was the United States was shipping out dollars, like lots and lots of dollars, and the world was giving the US their gold. That's what happened initially in 1944. But over time, the world started to question if America still had the reserves of gold in there. There's a lot of other political things that happen as well. And it got to a situation that we believe that the amount of reserve and the amount of dollars being issued actually wasn't the same. Yeah. So the American government needed more gold, and that's why the gold confiscation and things like that happened, so that they can bolster their reserves to meet the to keep it as the global currency. But it got to a point where the disparity happened, and the confidence in the government dropped. So the break in the gold standard was meant to be temporary. It wasn't meant to be permanent. But after it happened, we never went back. Yeah, so interesting times.
So what happened after that? So we're in 1971 now. So that's 30 years ago. Temporary 30 years. It hasn't gone back. So
yeah,
what happened?
That's right.
And we're heading towards what's happening now.
That's right. So similarly, Australia's currency, though, interestingly, was still pegged to the US dollars. Okay, even after 71. But it wasn't until 1983 that we said, no, we're strong enough as a country and a currency, and we want to take our dollar off and we'll float it ourselves. And it was in 1983 that actually happened. But since 1971, where the dollar wasn't backed by gold anymore, as you can see in that little chart there, that we've lost the purchasing power in the dollar. We've lost over 90% of its purchasing power since 1971. And what you see there in the red line going up, that's the amount of dollars that's been printed. So as the dollars get printed, its value and its purchasing power, you can see, gets reduced.
And we've spoken about this, you know, how with all the qualitative easing and stimulus that's coming through right now, is only going to further debase and reduce the purchasing power of our Australian dollar and global currencies around the world. So, which is leading to our topic today.
That's right. That's right. So we're now at 1988. So that's when our first polymer, our plastic notes, was actually came into existence. And by 1998, Australia became the first country in the world to have a totally polymer note system.
So it's only not very long ago, isn't it?
Not too long ago, no. So we've actually gone through a couple of updates in terms of our polymer notes, but they're still polymer, they're still plastic. We've enhanced it, they've given it more security features, okay? And that's all done through the Reserve Bank of Australia.
I guess looking at your charts, moving the system from, Bretton Woods system, back in the days of the gold, Adelaide gold, what is it? Back in 1817, when the currency was a coinage, then moving to the paper money now. I hope that the community, like our community, can sense what's happening. There is a reset. So whatever we have in currency right now doesn't mean it can stay as, what we're using, the paper money, the fiat currency. We are more using digital. When I say digital dollar, meaning that FPOS, less. A lot of our clients, are paid through credit cards now, isn't it? So what will happen? Yeah, so that's leading perfectly, beautifully to our topic today, because what we're used to, we're currently only really began in the 1980s, late 1980s. And I know a lot of us who were born after that won't remember what happened in 1970 and before that, which is most of us, but don't get comfortable that this will stay forever, because it most likely, looking at history, it won't. If we look at history, the currency has changed many times. And if it does change again, what would it change to? I want you guys to think about that, that timeline that we're showing you, because we expect that with this pandemic, it could be a pin to the next reset of the currency. Okay, so I think that this.
So, Lan,
yeah. So
what's next for the dollar? What's your view?
Actually, before I share our view or our opinion, I want to know what people think, what people's view is in our community, because I think everyone has an opinion. I mean, have you even thought about what we've spoken about? Or did you assume that what you're using as currency to trade will stay forever? I mean, let's take a poll here.
Let's have a look. So, but one thing I want to point out though is that there's the currency that we use, but what also changes in terms of not just the currency as in the physical stuff that we use to trade day by day, if it's a coin, if it's a note, okay, but behind that currency, the system changed as well. It wasn't just the coin itself. So that coin represents the system that's backing it. In the old day, it was an imperial system where kings and queens would literally say that's how much it's worth, until we're into a free market where our dollars floated. So okay, there's what we use, the currency in our wallets, and there's a system that's backing it up. So have a think about that.
Okay. So anyone have any want to share their thoughts? Where do you think what the next for the dollar? So at the moment we're pegged against the US currency, but what are some of people's thoughts now? Where to for the dollar? I still have some of these notes. Coin. Thank you for sharing. Yes, I remember back then, because we're an Asian background, when we did the red packets, and we were giving $5 notes. And now, obviously, the purchasing power, nothing under the yellow note, right? The $50 or a green note now. Otherwise, we'd be looked at, But $5 and was the norm. I think was it $2 paper note back then. But anyway. Anyone dare to guess where? Or if you have no thoughts, maybe start thinking now. But I think Josh is about to join us, but so let's go to our view of what's next for the dollar.
Okay.
So let's share with the community.
Okay. So, guys, this is what's happening. This is a chart that shows the per capita number of transactions that we are doing over time. And you can see the chart there clearly that the number of checks is on the way down. The amount of cash transactions that we do is on the way down. And look, the government is pushing that as well, passing laws to saying that, you're not allowed to do transactions over $10,000 and things like that. So that's got a role in it. However, I think the way we live now and the way we transact has changed as well. So debit cards and credit cards are on a dramatic rise there, and debit and credit transfers are also on the rise. So we can clearly see that our dollar, or the way we use the money or currency, is going digital and away from the paper, or in our case, polymer dollar. Yeah. So what does that mean? And that leads us into our talk today. Is it a Bitcoin for Australia? Is there an Australia coin? What do you think? So absolutely, we are going. Koi says we're moving to cashless system, but yeah. Yes, there's lots of countries out there who are trialing different programs at the moment, and in Australia, the Reserve Bank of Australia is who looks after our notes and our monetary policies. And this is something that they've been working on. It's called the central bank digital currency. Okay, my research shows that the CBDC will be possibly issued on a blockchain platform, would be digital version of money, which is a liability of the central bank rather than the commercial banks. So this is something that is being investigated. They're actually working on a technical, there was actually a paper that was released last December outlining what it was, how it would work, and when they should look at using it. Okay, so guys, don't think that Australia is not a part of this digital revolution. Our government is already looking at possibilities, and so it's not a question of if our monetary system or our currency will change, it's a matter of when. Okay. So there was also an article that CPA Australia released saying how this COVID situation has actually accelerated the central bank's digital currency project. Because right now, when the central banks implement a policy, they don't do it directly. They need to use the commercial banks. They initiate a policy, and that would then be executed, and then it's the commercial banks that actually interact with the customers. So there's a delay in getting feedback, there's a delay in seeing if a policy worked and things like that. So with the advent of the digital something like a CBDC, the central bank can actually do, don't need the banks at all. They can do it themselves directly with you. So it's happening. Which leads us on to our discussions today with our special guest. So our special guest for today is a gentleman by the name of Joshua Denne. He is, okay, that was the summary. So Josh is a father, an investor, a marketer, and an entrepreneur. Okay, Josh is a firm believer in the future of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. He co-founded the Blockchain Funding Inc. Okay. He's an international speaker and author of Inevitable, Tipping the Scales in Your Favor. I have a copy of it here. You guys should all go out there and get it. this shows Josh's what he's been through and how he got to today. It's an awesome book, so motivating. But I'm going to introduce the man and have him. Okay, Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lan. It's a pleasure to see you. Phil, as always, massive love and respect. I appreciate being on.
Thanks so much. I know you're in the States and the time's all crazy, but thank you for taking time out and talking to us about crypto, Bitcoin, and everything digital, I guess.
I'm glad to be here, Phil. Anything for you. I know there's a lot of great things going on in the world, and Bitcoin, cryptocurrency is one of those things I think that can help a lot of people, millions of people all over the world because of its utility and its value.
Fantastic. Josh, just before we start, how are things for you? Because we get news from the US and things that are happening over there. For example, we know about the fires. There's a bit of unrest and things like that over there. How is it for you, though? Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Okay.
America's fine. They got some, crazy things going on in the political realm, but that's been going on for a long time. It's just more sensationalized now because of the media and because of how the media portrays the events currently. But for the most part, as I've traveled all over the country, it's not what the media portrays for sure.
Looks like you're in war over there, like with all the riots.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look good if you didn't know the country. So yeah, I think things will start to settle down after the November election.
Okay, definitely. Cool.
Well, yeah. So, tell me what. Where do you want to start, and how can I add value to the show here?
So, Josh, we've got some articles about you. You've been featured on plenty of articles about what you've done and the lives you've changed, which is, let's talk about some of the brands that you've been building over the years.
Well, I got my start in the network marketing organization, which I think is probably one of the best places to learn entrepreneurial skill sets. And most people don't understand that platform. A lot of people think of Amway, or they think of pyramid type companies, and that's usually a really ignorant response from someone who hasn't taken the time to do any research. Because obviously there's good and bad in all things, but network marketing has a phenomenal ability to give people access to personal development, professional development, and mentorship. Things that are vitally important, I think, in any society and anywhere in the world for people to be able to succeed, to have access to people who've already achieved tremendous success and then are incentivized financially to turn around and help others do the same. And in that process, you can learn some vital and I think critical skills that are required to be an effective entrepreneur in any economic environment. You need to learn how to sell. You need to learn how to recruit others. I don't care if you're starting a hamburger stand. If you don't want to be flipping burgers the whole time, you need to be able to recruit people. You need to be able to understand how to keep people once you've recruited them, how to lead organizations, how to replicate processes. So there's all these skills that you're able to develop within the network marketing environment. So that's where I got my start. It wasn't easy. I don't think anything worthwhile is. It does take time, dedication, and effort. But when you do that, you put your time, you put the dedication, you put the effort, and you do it consistently long enough, you'll succeed. And I think that's true in almost anything, right? As long as you stay focused. So I got my start there. I've been up and down multiple times. I've been a multi-millionaire, and I've been negative $1 million. I've been successful, and I've been homeless. So I know what it's like to be on both sides of that. And since I really got the understanding of the skill set, it doesn't matter whether you have money now, because if you have the skills, you can develop and you can create the money. So I think the skills are more valuable than the capital, because the capital can come and go, the money, but the skills stay once you've acquired them. So my mentor said, yeah, you work harder on you than you do on your business. Work harder on yourself than you do on whatever it is. So if you develop the skills, then you'll be able to create monetary gain on command. You have the ability to become successful in any environment once you've developed the skill set. So I took that and I've turned it into a variety of other endeavors. We've been very fortunate in having success in a variety of companies. And as an investor, I put money into situations I believe in, into people I believe in. So as you can see, SetJet there is one of the companies we invested in. A lot of respect for those guys that are operating that company. It's a phenomenal company. It's doing extraordinarily well. Same thing with Koi Poke and the restaurant chain. That's done extraordinarily well. Also, Miraculum. We also helped that company get off the ground. Put a lot of money into that deal, and then we spun off a company that my partner Dan and I own 100% of, which is called FireOut. And FireOut is a chemical composition company, but its objective is to help prevent fire and then extinguish fire in an eco-friendly way, which is by far one of the most extraordinary products I've ever had the privilege of working with. And it's very timely now, considering the fires that are happening in California. In fact, we've got the highest approval rating of any product in the country of Canada. They gave us there's like that. The one down from it is poured concrete, to give you an idea. And it's eco-friendly, doesn't harm the environment, and there's no other product quite like it. And we're taking that to market here real soon. I'm going to set up a capital venture firm that helps distribute and deploy capital into various ventures that we believe in, like blockchain funding, which was specifically set up to help with companies that are working with blockchain technologies and utilizing those rails, so to speak, to stand up the architecture of their businesses. And I'm a big believer, and I'll stop talking in a minute so you can ask some more questions, but specifically about cryptocurrencies and blockchain tech, because I think that's where the whole world is going.
Fantastic.
And I can see you put up all the ventures there, but so we've got a nice diverse portfolio, and we're very proud of these companies and the people behind them and what they're setting to accomplish.
Yeah, tell you. I've actually eaten at Koi Poke, so it's a great place. But I haven't been on one of your jets yet, but I got to get over there. Okay. Thank you so much. So today's big question is, I know you're a crypto person. So when did you actually get started in the crypto space, Josh?
Well, crypto, when I first learned about it was 2017, the very beginning of 17 or late 16. And it was interesting because a friend of mine owed me some money, and he decided to pay me back in Bitcoin. I was like, oh, okay, I've heard about Bitcoin, but how does it work? And he showed me how to download an application, and he sent me Bitcoin. And the money he owed me went instantly into this digital wallet I had on my phone, which was kind of cool. And ever since that, I started learning about it. And it really intrigued me because it seemed like a new way we could transfer value to one another without a central bank being in the middle of it and taking a piece of the action. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, of course, the value went up. I think when he paid me back the money, the Bitcoin at the time was $1,700. So I watched it go from $1,700 to nearly $20,000 during that year of 2017. Obviously, at that time, it got me super excited to start learning about not only cryptocurrency, but about the technology behind it, which is blockchain.
Fantastic. That leads us into the next question. So, what is blockchain? So, we're saying that it's the technology behind Bitcoin, but what is it exactly in few words?
Wait, what is blockchain? Well, blockchain is it's a digital ledger. I mean, you have it written up there. It's immutable because what happens is all of our personal computers can basically fact check, in other words, the information that's contained within the block. It's in the sequence, and they use cryptology. Basically, it's a way where it's almost impossible to hack. So it's using hashes to organize that information and keep it in a seamless flow. So you can organize your information. One of my mentors in this space said that the internet today is kind of like a big box of wires. Maybe some of you have boxes like that in your house or in your garage. You've got Ethernet wires and cables and old plugged cables for various devices you don't even have anymore. This is a big rat's nest of wires, and you try to untangle it all. That's kind of what the internet is today. It's very it's disorganized, and things are just built on top of it. I think the stat I read recently was like 600 zettabytes of data exhaust, just information that's just not organized anywhere, and it puts a lot of stress on systems. So blockchain is an organization of that, and that's why everything's being built on those new rails. It's very organized, very easy to track and find information, and most importantly, that information can be checked and verified as accurate, so it can't be changed once it's there. So it eliminates the need for trust. I don't need to trust you or me, or especially like smart contracts, because it's all there, and it can be verified within everyone's computer systems. So there's not one central place that holds all the information. Kind of like AWS, which is Amazon Web Service. They sell out cloud. Basically the ability to have cloud servers. Businesses use it, but it's all centralized into one spot. This is where this information is distributed amongst thousands, if not millions of people all over the world, and it's the same information. We can check it and verify it, and make sure that it's real, and it is what it says it is.
Fantastic. Okay. I think the other thing that
I know that's a little longer.
No, go for it.
No, it's the best way to hold information, in my opinion.
I think we experienced the halving recently of Bitcoin. What can you share with our community about the significance of that in terms of the halving, and as well as why is decentralized so important? As you did touch on a little bit compared to our current banking system.
Well, Bitcoin is one cryptocurrency, and I think the way that Satoshi put it together, it was brilliant, because the algorithm, how he wrote this, makes it finite and gives you a reward for mining it. But there's the halving, the halving, which basically cuts the workload, or cuts the workload. Well, it cuts the reward down in half. Time a halving occurs, and so mathematically, I think it's somewhere in the 2040 when the last Bitcoin will be mined. Forgive me, I don't know the exact date, but somewhere in that neighborhood. There's only 20 million of these things that are ever going to be mined, and so when the halving occurs, and I can back up a little bit. So mining is basically computer systems that are solving problems, and so when the computer solves the problem, it gets rewarded with a Bitcoin. It's the block of information. It's the key to that. And if you're going to have a bunch of computers, you got your cost, which is your electricity, your technology, your storage and maintenance, right? Those are fixed costs. And as you're kind of looking at what the computer costs you, what the energy costs you, and if it works, then you put your computer systems to work, and they're mining the coins, and you can get some of it, and it rewards you. Like, for example, before the halving in 2020, you'd get 12.5 Bitcoin, right? That was the reward for solving the blocks. Now, after the halving, it's 6.25, and that'll continue to occur, which mathematically, it forces the price to go up over time. It has to go up or the network fails, which is part of the genius about this whole thing. That's why, a lot of people don't understand Bitcoin, but if you read the white paper and you understand why there's value there, and the fact that there's only a finite amount of them, and that in order to get them over time, the reward continues to cut in half and half and half until maybe you're mining 1 Satoshi and it's over, and people believe in Bitcoin because it's a store of value. It's already being utilized all over the world. And some of the emerging markets like India and Africa are a lot of those countries because they have no faith in their government's fiat currency. They're able to, they use it a lot. I mean, in Venezuela, it's being used all the time. In fact, it's illegal to have US dollars in Venezuela. And what most people don't realize around the world is 70% of the transactions that happen worldwide are settled in dollars. So the dollar is still super strong, but Bitcoin, in my opinion, is stronger. In fact, just mathematically, again, if you had your money in Bitcoin 5 years ago, you'd have beat everything on the S&P over the last 5 years.
We have a question from our viewers that, yes, we can see that there are significant increases and due to the halving and the finite of the volume of Bitcoin, but there has been also significant decreases over the years. So would that...
Well, not necessarily. Over the long haul, it's continued to go up, like real estate. So it depends on when you're looking at it. Yeah, crypto is volatile in the sense that there's a lot of speculation on it. And so, you've got, people coming in, speculating on its increase. And then, of course, when it shoots up, people get scared. If they bought it high and it starts falling, they start panic selling. So there's a lot more volatility now than I think there will be in the future. However, if you're looking at the timeline from 2009 to today, Bitcoin's only gone up. So I guess it depends on what you're looking at. If you're trying to trade it, well, then you're going to probably have to learn a different skill set and understanding how to trade it. But I think if you're going for the long-term value, holding it, you're going to do well. Like even people who bought in at like $19,000 in 2017, I think it's going to crest that here within the next 12 to 18 months. Now, that's not financial advice at all by any stretch of the imagination. That's just my own personal opinion. But you're not going to lose. You're not going to lose until you sell it. So again, it depends on your strategy.
Yeah, I guess it's like share market as well. So there's always people jumping in, FOMO, trying to get in when it's already high, and then it's going to go down to correct that. So there's the volatility and there's the risk in it. So if you're in the long term and you understand Bitcoin and the halving and every 4 years, and do your research, then long term, what Josh is saying is the trend is up. It's bullish. But again, we're not here to provide financial advice. But just to give you some indication of where our opinion will be.
That's it. So Josh, you mentioned a couple of reasons in terms of its scarcity that drives up the value in Bitcoin. But what is there any other reasons that you can tell us why it's growing so much and why is there so much interest?
Okay, again, these are opinions, so please take them as such. I encourage everyone to do your own research, really learn about what it is, and I think it'll become clear to you. So hopefully this will at least spark your desire to get educated. But yeah, scarcity is one of the reasons. But I think also people are getting very skeptical about their government's printed IOUs. Fiat, fiat currencies, aka dollar, pound, yen, peso, euro, whatever your nation's currency is. Look at the U.S. dollar, for example. We started the year off with this 21 trillion in deficit, 21 trillion in obligations in the negative, and the Fed decided to print another 60 trillion more. We essentially tripled our deficit in the last 12 months. Crazy. I mean, it's insane. Now we're at 81 trillion. The United States, okay, which is pretty much the world's currency. I mean, everything's pegged on the dollar. So you've got it's a little freaky when you look at it like that, and you look at the obligations, and you're thinking, how is this going to measure out? At some point, that system's going to break, and historically it has. Whereas Bitcoin, there is a finite amount. They're not printing more of it. There's no centralized system that has it. So people feel a little safer, I think, at least if you have some financial sense and you've done your due diligence and research, then I think it's a very safe place to hold capital.
And yeah, I mean, I agree. Like Bitcoin, gold, silver, commodities, to get out of the system of the central banks and the Reserve Bank, so that you have something else that you can also rely on. So thanks for sharing with that one. And why do you've already probably answered, why do you believe cryptocurrency should be part of everyone's portfolio? Here's a graph of, a lot of people ask me, what's the what's the price prediction to get into, because at the moment the price is already where do you see the price now? Is it overvalued or currently right price or undervalued? Josh,
I think it's undervalued. I think it's tremendously undervalued, but it's undervalued for a while. Yeah, again, that's my own personal opinion. You look at.
I think that's probably more interesting to hear from
Sorry, what?
Why is your opinion?
Here's why I think that.
Yep.
Well, because Bitcoin hasn't really been adopted yet. It's just starting. When I first got started using Bitcoin, it was very difficult to utilize. Number one, it was kind of hard to find. It was hard to buy. Then once you bought it, it was hard to get out of it. It's like, how do I turn this into groceries? How do I turn this into paying my rent, paying my bills? And for most people, it was too much, and they put it aside. So it didn't have adoption. It was like mainly tech people and financial savvy investors that were getting involved. And then, of course, there was the unscrupulous people as well. But at the end of the day, it was just difficult to not only get, but to utilize and to be able to turn back into your nation's fiat so you could spend it. Well, today, a lot of that's been solved. We're working with a company called Beyond that gives access to one of the best crypto exchanges I've ever seen that's ever been developed, really, called Coinzu. And that gives people the ability to buy it, trade it, sell it, and spend it from a Visa debit card. So now I can, it's so easy for me to get Bitcoin. It's easy for me to save it. It's easy for me to trade it. It's easy for me to turn it back into USD or to spend it anywhere in the world I want to spend it with the Visa debit card. So I think when companies like that and others that are going up around it start to make the ability to spend it and use it simpler and simpler and easier, then more and more people are going to start coming on board. And as more and more people come on board, because it's scarce, because there's a limited supply, the value will start to go up. And I think as the education starts to hit the market, you got people talking about it all over the place. We had like Joe Rogan talking about it, and people say, "Well, why does that matter? Who's Joe Rogan? What's his opinion matter?" Well, Joe Rogan is one of the most listened to humans on the planet right now. 190 million downloads a month. I mean, that's a lot of human beings listening to what he has to say. So when you have more and more people that are listening, that are open, that are starting to understand its value, understand what it can be used for, and having the ability to actually spend it if need to, I think that that's only going to create more adoption, more people coming on board, more people utilizing it, which is going to force the price up.
I've got a good question from the community. You mentioned about finite in number, but there are numerous different cryptos in the market. Can you just explain that, how that affects price and demand? And it's not the same as, say, the US printing more money. So I guess what he's saying is there's lots of different coins now. I think thousands of coins, not just Bitcoin. So yes, it is finite, but there's other coins coming in. How does that impact the price?
Again, my opinion is, and what it appears to be and has been, is Bitcoin to the crypto world's the US dollar. It's the peg. So everything's basing their stuff around BTC, even though they may build their tokens on the Ethereum rails, like ERC tokens and whatnot. Bitcoin has a real use case. It's the 800-pound gorilla. It's the most trusted source. So I think that'll continue to be what it is. And all the other tokens have their own utility. So it depends on what they do and what their function is and what they're actually doing. So yeah, there's a lot of them, but there's a lot of stocks too. There's a lot of penny stocks. Most companies aren't going to do anything. So you go through, if you're a stock investor, you're investing in blue chip, you're investing in things that you really know and understand. So that's the way I look at it this way. There's going to continue to be more and more coins out there. I don't think that's going to devalue Bitcoin in any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
So just for our viewers, last week we had Jordan Elisi from the Perth Mint, who talked about gold. And the Perth Mint in themselves, they've actually released a token recently. And that's gone on the blockchain. So this is their token. So there's like Josh says, it's what you choose to do with technology and how you choose to implement it. This is just another way that they give clients access to their products.
Yeah. Look, I guess a lot of my questions come from my investors, because I am an accountant and financial planner. So they're probably asking the risk around cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So because we have an expert here, I'm giving you some of the other questions that they always ask. Like, for example, if you don't mind, Josh, play devil's advocate. So there are, most Bitcoin and cryptocurrency are not asset backed, and they're not tangible value. So value in property, in the land, location, you can, so when you buy a house, there's land, so it's backed with land. Whereas Bitcoin, how can we measure that value, and how can we make sure that there's going to be continued value, because it's not tangible. So, and what stops someone making a new Bitcoin, not a new coin, but that destroy the current Bitcoin? That was another question. And what happens if the internet goes down, and when it comes back, you lose half of your Bitcoin? So these are new questions from newbies that thinking of getting into. And I think you're best to answer that. And I think those are the three questions that if you could share your opinion and light on that, so they get more comfort.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, there's risk in everything. If the internet goes down, we're gonna have a lot more problems than, if it goes down permanently, a lot more problems than just losing.
I think they mean like a crash, like a 24-hour crash, and then comes back on, but in a different format.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't affect Bitcoin, especially if you're holding it in a cold wallet, which is, again, why you want to do your research. You really have to understand it. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take some time. So it's important to research all things that you're going to put your capital into. Capital is the derivative of sweat, meaning that you're going to have to sweat a lot, aka work. You trade your time for at something, right? You're going to put effort in, and you're going to be making some money. You still have to pay your bills and do the things you have to do in life. What's left over is what I call capital, or what it essentially is capital. And then you're going to put that capital to work for you into land, or like real estate. You're going to put it into stocks, bonds, whatever you're going to put it into, or even cryptocurrencies. Then there's risk there. So it's important to research that. Okay, that's one. Two is there's what's backing everything is faith and trust. Even the dollar, right? The dollar is printed right on the note. For the faith and trust in the United States government. You look at the dollar bill. It's about trust. That's what it is. In God we trust. Here, it's like faith that the U.S. government will stand behind the value of this particular paper bill. So you're going, well, yeah, Bitcoin, there's nothing really behind it. Well, there's millions of people who trust it. Okay. So if millions of people all of a sudden decide not to trust it, yeah, there's going to be a problem, but that's very unlikely, especially when just recently all the big banks, are getting behind it. You get world-class investors like Paul Tudor Jones talking about it and putting his capital into funds that have Bitcoin. When you're looking at that, there's more and more trust gaining. I mean, the trust is gaining mathematically. It's not going the other way. So I don't see that happening. But and if someone else is going to create a new Bitcoin, I mean, that's the question from before about altcoins. That's an alternative coin. Nothing's going to replace Bitcoin itself, because again, it's the staple, it's the peg in this particular, cryptocurrency world. Again, that's my opinion. You can take it or leave it, but it's been going up consistently since 2009. And yeah, it's had some fluctuation, but over the long haul, it continues to go up. And I think it'll continue to do so.
All right. They were my tough questions. So, Phil, you have
I don't know if I got to them all.
I think it's always good to have to hear from you as an expert, because obviously you're in the game for much longer. And at the end of the day, when you buy any investment or you start to invest, definitely education is the first thing you do. You don't just buy because you hear someone's opinion. You need to get that, get yourself educated on it, and then start small, and then and see how you go before you.
You said start small, because a lot of people think they have to buy a full Bitcoin. So let me just address this, because a Bitcoin may be valued at $12,000 or whatever it is today. You don't have to buy one Bitcoin. You can actually buy a Satoshi. It goes down. It's like what, there are 100,000 units in a Bitcoin. You know what it is, or so you can go all the way down to one Satoshi. You buy fractions of it, and you can work your way up. I would at least get some of it. Wait, say that again.
I think it goes back at something like 8 decimals, so a fraction of a fraction is tiny.
Yeah. I mean, you can, and they call it one Satoshi. That's the 1 unit. So, look, I would just start playing with it, start to understand it. I think education is going to be your friend on this journey. We're just one group of people you're going to hear this from, and then you'll start going down that rabbit hole and learning more and more and more. And I think the more you learn, the more comfortable you're going to get with the concept, and the more confident you're going to be in adopting cryptocurrency and utilizing it. I think Bitcoin's a great place to start.
Excellent. Well, that's anything else, Stefan?
That leads us perfectly into your inevitable challenge. So it says here, Josh, that you're on a mission to inspire, educate, and enable a minimum of 1 million people earning a living wage and achieve personal economic stability and sovereignty as micro-preneurs by 2025. Tell us more about this movement that you're spearheading.
Well, look, the world's changed. We all know it. And COVID-19 happened, and why it happened, how it happened, we'll leave that for a completely different topic. Leave that aside. The fact that it did happen, however, is relevant. And it's relevant because almost everyone all over the world woke up to the realization that they better find some other way to start generating revenue, because what they do may be in jeopardy. And maybe what they do isn't essential. Okay, like a lot of people found out, and they woke up to the realization that the way things were are no longer the way they are or will be in the future. And so I think that's a good thing, because people need to realize that the times have changed drastically. The information age is now full swing. We're in a full digital era, and if you're not learning new skills and developing new ways to think and to operate in today's economy, you're going to be left behind. So I think it's important to know that. And then our mission is to create opportunity in those environments for people. And because people are hurting right now, and I see it. So we have a mission of 1 million people by 2025. Obviously, the vision's much bigger than that. We want to be able to affect the lives of tens of millions of people around the world, and just play a part, just do the best we can do with the time we have to help make this world a little bit better. And the best way I know how to do that is to find products and services that are timely, that are relevant to today's market, and help people get involved with the opportunity to move those products and services in the new era with new technologies to help people earn a living wage, and to help give people the ability for them to make their own money from wherever they are in the world, utilizing the technologies and the information that's available.
That's wonderful. I mean, that's 1 million people earning a living around around the world, yeah, not just America.
Around the world, not just in the United States where I'm at. I mean, Australia, Africa, South America, Europe, Asia. There's people everywhere. And you know what? As I've traveled the world, I found out most all of us are the same. We all want good things for our family. You know, we want to spend quality time with those that we love. We want to make a difference in our communities. All of us are like that. You know, it doesn't matter where we're from. We're human beings. And especially as a father, and I know you have children, and if you have children, you want to do, you want to leave something better for them. You want to make the world better and help as best you can. Now, there's a lot of people, speak in doom and gloom these days, but I see a better world ahead of us. I see a world where we're more united with common thought and purpose all over the world, and we're working together to make things better. And I think when we all start thinking that way and start doing at least our part, maybe we're not going to change the world by ourselves. In fact, I don't think anyone can change the world by themselves. We need each other. And when we can kind of, gather around that concept and start adding value to one another, I think it'll affect things in a positive way.
What a great mission.
Yeah, that's any last words for anyone looking to, after listening to us starting to invest? Any last words for them, or
like I said, education's your friend. Get educated. Just start learning. I mean, the information's free. Get out there and start, researching. And I know you're gonna have to wade through a bunch of advertisements and a bunch of junk, but through it, you'll find some quality information. I know Phil and Lang are doing a great job getting information out there. In fact, I know you're gonna probably talk about the hackathon event. That's another event you can register for free. There's tremendous content and some of the most brightest and successful people that are going to be talking about blockchain and crypto, and it's being held in Wyoming, the most crypto-friendly state in the United States. Basically, we're kicking off that week. I get to kick it off. It's an incredible week of global thought leadership, innovation, and it's the third. I think this is the third annual Wyoming event, and I'm going to be keynoting. So that's kind of cool. I get to keynote that and talk about the future state of entrepreneurial opportunity around the world, digital assets like cryptocurrencies, and there's my BitAngels are going to be there, which is the largest network of investors into blockchain tech. So there's a lot of great stuff coming up. That's one of them. There's other events, but that's coming up. You can register at wyohackathon.io. I know you've got that information, Phil. You can post.
Yep, I'll
free
post it in the group.
You can show up and learn.
Yeah. And there was one thing that I saw that was interesting. It's where regulators are getting together as well. Is that right? And talking about how they can integrate this into our current system. How can we make it work? How can we make it all thrive? Because there's a bit of depending on which state you're in, especially in America, some are pro, some are against that type of thing.
Well, you're going to see regulators, you're going to see government officials, you're going to see, people from all over and all different walks of life that are talking about the importance of it. And today's economy, things have changed drastically, and I think in a very good way. And you'll see that. So again, the more you get educated, the more you really have an open mind and start learning, I think the better it's going to be for you and for your future.
Fantastic. And we'll be able to see you in VR. Is that the whole event in VR?
Yeah, we're doing a VR. Some of the government officials will be there live, but I'm choosing to just go into the VR. It's kind of a cool VR live event. You can see other people there. It's a virtual. Now you don't have to have the virtual thing on. You can go on your computer, but you can register. It's going to be September 23rd and 24th of so it's coming up here real soon.
Yeah, we'll put details and link for them to register on our this video.
I got one question from one of your buddies, Josh Kang, asked, do you ever think crypto will overtake fiat?
Kang, I do think so. I think that's inevitable. It's inevitable that will happen. I think obviously the various governments around the world will make it their cryptocurrency. But we're pretty much there anyway. Most of us are digital anyway. Your
Exactly.
I mean, you go to the store and you swipe a card. I mean, you didn't exchange any money for it. You know, I mean, you did, but it's like numbers. It's digital. It's digital transactions. So to move that into a more of a cryptocurrency space, I think it's advantageous for governments around the world. It prevents money laundering, and there's a lot of things there's a lot of elements it takes away and governments. So and it also it's a safer way to transact. So I do see that. I see that coming up. Anyway, King, much love, buddy.
Do we have any more time for one more question from Koi? The skepticism of crypto used for money laundering across the world, is that not the ultimate risk for all countries to make this illegal to prevent such activities?
Look,
What's your say?
You're never going to prevent criminal activity. You know, it's just not. It's look at America's war on drugs. What a hoax. You know, that I mean, it's illegal and it's everywhere. You know, and all it did is cause more death, more destruction, more money. It was a total scam. I mean, the reality is, like, when you try to prevent certain things, and people are going to get around it. So there's always going to be that issue and that element. It's just something you have to deal with. You know, I don't think it's the big challenge is money laundering with cryptocurrencies. Maybe with ones that governments don't control, but obviously the ones that government control, you're not going to have that problem. You know. Anyway, those concepts are above my pay grade. I stay in my lane.
You can never eliminate all criminal activity. That's not for one person.
No, you know,
and criminals will find a medium, and that's all it is.
And you don't throw the baby with that, the baby out with the bathwater. You know, just because there's something bad with it doesn't mean you stop it all. You know, there's I think the good far outweighs the bad in this scenario.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So if do we have any more questions from the viewers online?
If not, we say that if you do have more questions for Josh, please leave it under the comment section, and we'll get the questions to Josh, and maybe he can come back to you. Thank you so much for your time, Josh. I know it was a fight to get to present with us because of the different times between US and Australia, but we really enjoyed your presence and your knowledge, and I look forward to learning more from you before your other endeavors, especially your inevitable challenge. So thank you very much again.
So Josh, just before you go, how do people get in contact with you or follow you or look for you?
I'm probably most active on Instagram at Joshua Denne, just my full name, JOSHUADENNE. I do communicate with people there, so if people want to direct message me, I'll respond. Probably better to comment on one of my photos, because if I'm not a friend of yours, it goes into another folder and I don't see that for a while. So if you're trying to get a hold of me, just comment on one of my posts, and I'll see it and I'll get back to you. Also, inevitablechallenge.com is my site if you want to learn how to be involved or contribute. So we have a free community there, and there's a lot of us that have just come. We add ideas and we share with one another. You kind of get a little better idea of what I'm personally doing and what the mission is about. So inevitablechallenge.com. Other than that, I'm pretty easy to find. I appreciate being here, Phil. I have tremendous respect for you, Lan. Respect for you. I appreciate you guys so much for doing these and helping educate people in Australia and all over the world for what you're doing. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to be on.
No, thank you, Josh. We enjoyed it so much, and we hope to catch up more and do more of these sessions, and might get you back on the show and let you know how you've been doing.
We'll get you back in 12 to 18 months' time when the prices go double. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
Okay,
and
bye for now.
Bye. For those who enjoyed Josh's section, please remember to subscribe and like our this video, so that so that the video gets spread out to more people and reach more people while you're on it. Smash the like button and subscribe. But now I'm going to take you through. So obviously, if you're ready into cryptocurrency, or if you decide to go ahead and invest in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you need to really plan ahead a little bit. And I've tried to simplify the I call it 6 tax coins, but the 6 tax things that you need to do or consider before you go ahead. So we will go the next 10-15 minutes. Just sit back, and I'm going to share with you, as an investor, what you need to look for. So Phil, so we have deductions, tax planning, Stocktake, tax structure, and record keeping and estate planning. Now, please, I'm going to go through quite quickly. So if you have questions, please leave in the comments, and we'll, if we have time, we'll come back to it. Okay. So first of all, if you are investing in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, you need to be aware that there are a lot of deductions that you can offset your revenue and your capital base of the crypto. So for example, all the memberships and subscriptions that if you did education, if you're trying to expand your education on crypto, NCC memberships, for example, hardware wallets. So I've got one of them here, which thanks to Bill. So if you bought one of these to install your crypto, you can actually deduct these costs. Subscriptions in memberships, as I mentioned, the internet, because you're trading internet. You need internet to monitor your portfolio and trade. Software, bots, TradingView, Coinbase membership if you're using that as a trading platform. Hardware, the laptop, computer, home office, line power, all the education and trading courses that you'll go into, trading fees, withdrawal fees, and interest on money borrowed to invest and trade. So this is not exhaustive list, but only the many things that an investor can look forward to claim to offset their cost base and the crypto gains. The second pillar that I mentioned is tax planning. Like every investment and income, you need to have a plan, plan so that you're not paying up to half of it in tax. Yeah. So you already know, I've already gone through some of the tax deductions, but let's say that you have an income of 80,000 gross a year. So the tax rate on that is around 34.5%, including Medicare, and you purchase a subscription of $500. So you're effectively only paying $327 on that subscription. So you immediately get a discount on that subscription. So, as Josh said, education is so important. So I would not be investing a single Bitcoin before you make sure you're advancing your education in that. So, but that's all deductible. Now, in terms of losses from crypto, you can also balance the capital gains and capital losses of your crypto. For example, a lot of people, have different coins, and let's say that you bought it at a time where cryptocurrency coins can be offset with other gains as well, because they're a capital asset. So for example, if you have some lost coins that they're not doing so well, you can actually sell those coins and then offset with capital gains that you've made through Bitcoin, for example, or made through share market, which has grown, has recovered from March. So that is part of the tax planning strategy that we help our clients. And just be careful that you're not, we call it washing. So we're not the buyback rule, that you don't infringe that. So for example, if you've bought, Bitcoin at back then, and then you sell it to crystallize the loss, don't buy it back straight away, because that's called washing your trade. Okay, so you can buy it back, but after several weeks or several months, so that it doesn't look so obvious that you're trying to wash your capital loss. And that's tax planning. So tax planning is really important for every investor. The other thing that you need to look at is preparing a stock take at year end for your current crypto holdings. Now, a lot of people don't do this very well, and because they're probably not aware of it. But you can do this by taking a screenshot of what you held in your wallets and exchange platforms, and keep it at 30 June or close to 30 June as possible. We've got a very good templates on Excel that we can share with you that we use for our clients that can help you do that. If you're an advanced trader and you do a lot of trades during the year, you might want to look at proper record keeping, which I know CoinSpot allows you to download all your sales and buys, but it doesn't really calculate your capital gains and that, so you don't really know how much profit you made to have proper tax planning. So what some of my advanced cryptocurrency clients do is they invest in a crypto tax accounting software. Now, if like a cloud software where it does calculate your trades and sales, and so you can track your gains and when you can, as I explained in the strategy before, that about selling the losses to offset the gains that you've already made. Okay, so if anyone's interested in how to keep proper record keeping, then get in contact, please. The next one is tax structures. I've mentioned many times when in terms of buying gold in crypto as well. So as you know, if you're a long-term investor, then you should have a look at what name you should be investing that in what structure. Now, generally, for those who already heard some of our videos, a trust structure is potentially an option for you, the long-term investments, because rather than trading in your own name. And the reason being is because of the ability to distribute the capital gains and also the earnings from the money that you've made from crypto. And also holding, if you're not a trader and if you're holding it for long-term, consider holding for more than 12 months. Because there are tax concessions on capital gains on investment that you hold more than 12 months, such as the 50% discount in Australia. And Australia has a lot of progressive tax rates in investments. So therefore, you want to maximize or minimize the tax on that. Okay. Now the coins that as I mentioned, the coins that you're holding for 12 months or more can possibly get the 50% capital gains. And here's my favorite crypto, or the tax matrix I've tailored for crypto tax, but it applies for cryptocurrency as well. So if you were, for those newbies who just go and buy in their own name, and if cryptocurrency, if Bitcoin goes up, as it did back in when it went to 28,000 in Australian dollar, which is only 15,000, that's a double. So you're expected to, and if you are holding it for less than 12 months, you can be paying up to 47% of that in tax. That's a lot of tax. So have a plan before you buy it, and sit down with your accountant and see the trust structure if that's a better option for you. And then also SMSF, super funds, does allow as well. So I would seriously have a meeting with your accountant to before you open your account for crypto, and see which is the best structure for you, and then go from there. Okay. Now, I put this point in because I feel that's very important as well, because I've a lot of my clients say I've bought cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, 6 Bitcoins, but I've lost the key to the wallet. So this is estate planning in action. If you haven't started thinking about it, then you should start now, because think about it. You need to know where you're storing the Bitcoin. So if you're going to store it in one of these wallets, then make sure that you have, the access to all the keys and passwords. And how do you access it? So for example, and if you were to pass away suddenly, or if you got sick, then who's the person that you trust to have access to it? Because if you are no longer there, or if you're no longer able to access, then that gets lost and no one else, because it is sitting in the internet, or your wallet. And make sure you have a test run, so that so that people who you entrust this access to your wallet know how to access it, because if they're not in crypto space, it's probably new to them. So that's all under estate planning. So we can help you. We've got a checklist that we can help you to make sure that you tick those off.
And there is no central authority, so you can't go to the bank or something like that and say and give in some papers and say, oh, someone's passed away, unfortunately. Can we do something here? There's no such thing as that. There's no central authority. So technically, the network is unhackable and it's proven to be. So if this isn't in place, you can be in real strife.
Yeah, and you can lose it. That is the biggest Bitcoin, because you can lose your entire portfolio, which I have come across a few times already from clients that have just lost their key or password, and they've just lost, their total portfolio of 6 Bitcoin is a massive value of today's money. Yeah. So anyone who has questions about the tax today, please, you can contact me directly. In the next slide, please, Bill. And you can send me an email at lan@successaccountinggroup.com.au. Otherwise, you can leave a chat of any questions. But yeah, seriously think about how you plan to invest. Like anything, Bitcoin is one of the volatile assets where it can go massively up in value very quickly and massively down as well. So you want to make sure that you're structured correctly from the beginning. So for those who want to contact us for more information about the crypto tax, I'll get you to go to the next slide, Phil. You can and if you want to have a private chat with me, please get in contact, because today we just cover very generic information to get you started. But for members that are already on a Success community group, we will give you a 10% discount on the fees of cryptocurrency tax, but also 100% of the tax fees are deductible as well, which is can be offset in the cost base of your crypto. Okay.
Awesome. So, interesting times ahead. Next week. Oh, actually, this Thursday.
Yes. So this Thursday, this is a special episode because this came out on Sunday, and we are aware now that the Victorian $3 billion third wave business support for SMEs will be open this Friday. So we thought we will have a special episode 6, covering all the business supports available for SMEs. And now I think I posted this morning about sole traders as well. So if you're an SME in Victoria, this is one not to miss, because I'll go through the main ones, and then if you have questions and how you can, some of the criteria that you need to be to meet, and so that can help you to survive and this further lockdown. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one, and it will be shown live as well on our YouTube channel. So if you have subscribed yet, then please do, so you don't miss this one.
Yeah. So, wow, what a show today! That was incredible. We covered so much. We've gone way over time, but yes. I think it was valuable. I think it's something that we needed to cover and really get the understanding out there. There's a lot of material, but and the economy keeps on changing. It doesn't stand still. So more releases, more information. Keep yourself informed. The best way is smash that like button, subscribe, and we're committed to keep on creating this content and helping the community.
And if you have any topics that you want us to cover particularly, please share with us on the comment, because we've got the show on episode 6 this Thursday, and next Tuesday will be JobKeeper 2.0, which we haven't shared yet, but we will be sharing on our community. So that's going to be one not to miss as well. But after that, if you have any topic that you'd like us to cover amongst business or wealth, then please let us know, and we will invite the expert to the show to share their opinions and their knowledge. But thank you, everyone, for joining and for staying on past the scheduled time, and we look forward to you in the next this Thursday show.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you the next time. Bye.
Ciao.